This is the Draw My Life of Francis Scott Fitzgerald and Zelda Fitzgerald. F. Scott Fitzgerald was born September 24, 1896, to his parents Edward and Mary Fitzgerald in St. Paul, Minnesota. A Scorpio, which explains his passion for writing, sex, and drinking. He had an eventful childhood, hanging out with this beautiful girl, Molly. Molly adored him so much that she threatened to jump into the Mississippi River if he did not propose to her. We do not know what came of her. When Fitzgerald entered school, he assimilated to the conventional values of his age. He began idolizing American male athletes, but failed to be recruited for any team. Fitzgerald's family moved around a lot, so he was never able to make any long-term friends. Thus, he turned to his imagination, fueling his artistic desires and eventually meeting his muse, Zelda Sayer. He attended St. Paul Academy, a prestigious school where he was the poorest of the rich. He was not well liked. People would even say, "Poison Scotty," or find some other means to shut his mouth. Fitzgerald found temporary escape by going to watch musical comedies. After graduating from the academy, he attended Newman, where he became close to a priest, Father Fay, who encouraged him to write. Fitzgerald entered Princeton and became more tolerated, finally achieving his dream of joining an athletic boys football team. Fitzgerald wrote for the school's Princeton Tiger, often neglecting his studies.
Around this time, he met Ginevra King, a beauty from Chicago, a girl who changed his view on luxury. She was so nonchalant about her high status, he fell in love. She was his ideal woman, the standard of the woman he writes. They never got together though, as Fitzgerald was too much of a gentleman to fool around at this point in time.
Thankfully, not all was bleak, as he made two lifelong friends, John Peel Bishop and Edmund Wilson. Both writers helped shape his own work in the future. Due to his abysmal grades, Fitzgerald could not advance his schooling, instead choosing to aid the war efforts America had joined in 1917 in July. Wait, rewind! Zelda was born July 24, 1900 to Anthony Dickinson Sire and Minnie Buckner Mansion Sire. She was the youngest daughter in the family. Zelda never fit in with the proper woman expectations due to her flirting, drinking, and smoking in her teen years. In 1980, Zelda met Scott at a weekend country club dance. Zelda was a regular in these activities while Scott was an oftener stationed by. Scott began a courtship with Zelda, but was hesitant because of his financial situation, so she kept courting other men. Once Scott published his first novel, The Side of Paradise. Then Zelda agreed to marry him, tying the knot on April 3rd in New York City. Zelda bared one child a year later, naming her after Scott. Her name was Frances Fitzgerald, but people called her Scotty. In the 1920s, Zelda became a symbol for liberated women, indulging in an extravagant lifestyle with drinking and travel. In 1924, the Fitzgeralds moved to France, where they joined a group of American expatriates. While on this adventure, Scott finished his third novel, The Great Gatsby. The Great Gatsby originally didn't have the success Scott hoped for, only gaining traction 2 decades after publication. In the end of the 20s, the Fitzgerald marriage was in shambles due to the constant cheating and drinking. Scott struggled to write another novel, while Zelda started painting, swimming, and writing short stories, searching for a creative outlet. In 1930, Zelda had a mental breakdown, being sent to various mental hospitals across Europe, eventually being released in 1931. The Fitzgeralds moved back to the United States shortly after. In 1932, Zelda had another breakdown and entered Phillips Psychiatric Clinic in Baltimore. While she was in there, she wrote her first novel, Save Me the Waltz, which was basically an autobiography about her side of the messed up marriage. When it flopped, she started doing plays. Scott finally published Tender is the Night, nearly 10 years after finishing his third novel. By this time, however, the Fitzgeralds were greatly in debt. Scott struggled with alcoholism, and Zelda was in and out of mental health clinics. In 1936, Zelda entered a hospital in North Carolina, while Scott moved to be a playwright in Hollywood. He wrote a play called The Vegetable, which flopped.
Go.
Scott died 4 years later of a heart attack. But first, he went to Mexico and rode a donkey. Zelda was working on her second novel, but perished in a fire in 1948 before she could finish it.